Welcome to another video tutorial Monday. This week I wanted to use some stamps that I've had for a couple weeks now, but I haven't got the chance to use very much, including this background from Hero Arts. It's the Word Pops CG313, and it's from their latest release, and it's really special because these circles pop out of it, and there are two that pop out. So you can do all sorts of stuff with these, and so I'm just kind of starting to grasp the concept of this. I'm actually going to pop out this one for stamping, and this is cool because you could use it by itself if you wanted to. But this will leave a nice little space to add emphasis to our card where we can put some little embellishments. So I'm going to stamp this onto Aqua Mist cardstock. And because I'm using a background stamp on the front of the card, I'm just going to use temporary adhesive to kind of adhere the card to itself. This is Tombow repositionable, which is awesome. I love it. And this way it stays nice and shut and it doesn't move around when we're getting ready to stamp it. And then I'm just going to ink up my stamp with some soap powder, Jenny Bolin Studios ink. And this will give us a nice, cool tone-on-tone effect that I think will look really nice. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp really well. The only problem with rubber stamps, really, is that you can't see where the ink is on, especially when you use a light color like this. So just make sure to go over it really well. Okay, now I can place my card over the top. Set it down as straight as I can, and then hold with one hand and press with the other. You can also use a brayer to do this, but I prefer this method. It just depends on what works best for you. So you see we have a nice tone-on-tone impression here. Looking really nice. So that's enough to add a lot of texture to the background, but it's not too loud. And then what we can do is get started embellishing our card. This is going to be a pretty simple card, but it's going to have a lot of wow factor. So what I want to do is tie this baker's twine from the twinery in honeydew around the front and tie it in a bow right here and have a tag hanging down. So I'm going to use my tiny tag set from Paper Cherry Ink. This is from their last release, and I'm going to stamp a frame and a sentiment on it, I think. I don't know, we'll see. But first I need to die cut the tags because it doesn't work like when you have a punch. It's better to stamp it first and then position it inside the punch and then punch it. But with die cutting, it's really hard to line it up after you have it stamped because you can't see through the die. So what we're going to do is actually lay it out on here first. I think I want to use either the star tag or this circle tag, so I'll just make sure that this side is fully on here. These tags will get cut off, but that's okay. And then to keep it in place, what I usually do is just use some low tack tape, and this is just washi tape that I bought off of Etsy, but you could use a piece of masking tape if you want. You could even use regular Scotch tape because you're not going to be using the piece around this anyways where the tape is adhering to. So I'm going to bring out my Big Shot, and then with the Paper Cherry ink die, since they're just regular wafer thin dies, all you have to do is set it down with all your tabs down, sandwich it in between the two clear plates, and run it through. And it's really as easy as that. And that cracking is completely normal. It's just the dye going through the paper and hitting the plastic. So you see we have all of these wonderful tags. I'm going to put my Big Shot away, and now we can remove our tape and our tags. So I have the star here, and this circle one. And I'll just keep both of these out for now. Move those off to the side. So I'm going to try the star one first because I think that'll add a nice contrast. And I'm going to use my Stick Candy ink from Jenny Bolin Studios and ink up my stamp. And what I found best that best works with this stamp set is just to get right over it and try to line it up the best that you can. So my head's gonna get in the way. So that's looking just wonderful. I love that look. And so next what we're going to do, we're going to stamp a sentiment over it. And I think the Miss You one will actually probably fit right in this circle here. It's very tiny. So for my sentiment, I'm just going to use this Jenny Bolin ink in Spice Tin, which is my favorite. And again, get right over it and then stamp down. And that fits perfectly. You could also use one of the bigger sentiments in the stamp set, you know, maybe like Enjoy or something, and just let it span over the edges of the little circle. That would be fine too. So next I'm just going to poke out the little hole. The reason I didn't poke out the hole before was just because it's nice to have a really flat surface to stamp onto. So I didn't want extra ink to seep into there or anything like that. So now we have our really cute little tag. And we can add our honeydew and baker's twine. And it matches this color perfectly. I love that. Okay, so I wrapped it around twice here, and I'm just going to trim this off so I have plenty of twine to work with. And first, I'll tie it in just a regular knot. And remember, you can always adjust these strings afterwards, so don't worry about exactly where they are in the card. Just worry about the width being right. So make sure it's tight. And that looks good. And now what we can do is add our little tag. I'm just going to go through it once here. Okay, make sure you get all 4 strings through. Otherwise you're going to have some issues on your hands. Don't ask me how I know that. And then you're just going to tie a regular bow. Okay, and now we can readjust our strings here, which I always wait to do this last because it's not something you need to worry about really when you're just tying it around the card, because you can always adjust them. So I want the star to be over right in the circle, or where the circle would be. And I'm just going to add a glue dot underneath of this so that it stays in place. And this way you can mail it or do whatever. And I think this little bow here needs a gem or something over it. And I'll use this medium-sized one. No, I'll use the smaller one. Looking good. We can round the corners. And remove this repositionable adhesive. And then all this needs is just a couple more pearls in the corner. And I'm going to use 3 different sizes. Add the big one here, a medium one here, and a smaller one here. And I'm just going to adjust them a little bit. And I still think it's missing something. It seems a little unbalanced here. So what I'm going to do is wrap some more twine around this bottom part and this will help give it more visual weight. And how I'm going to do this, I'm just going to add some repositionable adhesive on the back just to hold it in place. And it's just going to look like this twine is a continuation of this twine. I'm not worried about tying it on the front or anything like that. And I'm actually, the repositionable adhesive will help keep it in place, but I'm going to adhere it down with some washi tape on the back as well. Okay, so now that I've added the extra twine and I have a cross here, here, and here, you can see the zigzags cross, so that kind of helps balance it out. And then you have those nice pretty pearls in the corner. So I think this is this card for this week, and I hope you enjoyed kind of learning along with me to use these new stamps. I'm definitely excited to use this background stamp more. I think it'll have some really cool uses. And yeah, so here's the finished card, and here's the close-up. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you again next week on another video tutorial Monday.